We're going to get started in a moment. Welcome, everyone. I'm Lauda Data-Minichis. I'm the Executive Director of Nurturing Minds, and we're thrilled to have everybody back again for our Artists in Education series, and very excited to have with us this evening mural artist Meg Saligman. So this session, as with previous sessions, will be recorded, and we have something different tonight. We're going to ask everybody to participate in some very quick polls throughout the evening. So we think that will be a lot of fun. And Meg will be taking questions at the end of her session. So as usual, you can type your questions into the Q&A at the bottom of your screen, and then later on, Matt will read those out and we'll get those answered. We have just one more session coming up for our series, and that will be on Sunday, February 14th on Valentine's Day. So it's a different day from our usual Thursday evenings. And we will have with us girls education advocate Jody Morris in conversation with Tanzanian recording artist William Moses, who is known as the Maasai Prince, and his sister Juliana, who is a SEGA student. So all of these fabulous artists, as you all know, including Meg this evening, are doing this for free. And so we do hope that in appreciation for their time and talent that you will consider making a donation to Nurturing Minds this evening. So by supporting Nurturing Minds, you are supporting over 1,200 highly vulnerable Tanzanian girls and giving them a real chance for a better future. Our partner organization, SEGA, Secondary Education for Girls Advancement, runs 3 programs: a boarding school, the SEGA Girls School, which is now serving over 275 girls on its campus, providing quality academics, entrepreneurship, career development, life skills and leadership, and environmental stewardship. We have a growing community outreach program called Modern Girl that now reaches over 1,000 girls off our campus in 20 villages, and a scholarship program for continuing education beyond high school. I'm going to turn things over now to Polly Dolan, the co-founder of both Nurturing Minds and SEGA, to introduce our speaker, Meg, tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Lauda. Thank you, everybody, for being with us tonight. Meg Saligman is an internationally renowned and widely acclaimed artist who transforms public spaces through a variety of media, including paint, light, glass, and even people. Named in 2006 as one of the 10 most influential American muralists of the decade, she's been at the forefront of the contemporary mural movement in the US, developing huge, stunning public installations, some of them 15 or more stories high, with an unmistakable, unique style that combines classical and contemporary art. In Philadelphia, she's developed more than 50 public works, including landmarks of the city known as Philadelphia Muses, Our Flag Unfurled, and Passing Through, which is on Interstate 76. It's seen daily by hundreds of thousands of people. Other notable media installations include one of glass in a beautiful residence for formerly homeless people in the city of Philadelphia, another called the Knotted Grotto outside the Catholic Cathedral Basilica in Philadelphia during Pope Francis's visit in 2015. The Knotted Grotto became a massive public event with more than 150,000 people participating in the form of writing their struggles, their prayers, and their wishes on strips of cloth for a blessing from the Pope. In addition to the sheer beauty of her work, Meg is especially known for her inclusive collaborative style and ability to harness creativity and participation from the community where she's working. We were fortunate to have Meg travel to SEGA in 2013 to paint the SEGA water tower, and we experienced this ability of hers firsthand. As she was thinking about the design from her studio back in Philadelphia before the trip, she had us on the ground in Morogoro do creative exercises with the girls to gather what I think she called it or it's known as images from their collective unconscious. It was amazing, which we then sent to her by scanning and emailing. She created a design that was 100% SEGA, as you will see. She organized all the art supplies to bring across the ocean, got to get through customs in Tanzania, all of this to make sure that we would have the best waterproof and sunproof paint on our tower. Then she worked with the girls and the volunteers on campus, including her own children, to create the installation. The painting of that water tower, which took place over several weeks, was one of the most memorable experiences for me at SEGA to be a part of. Meg brought us all out of our academic mindset and into creativity. So with no further ado, I'm so happy and honored to introduce Meg Saligman.
Hi, everyone. How are you tonight? Am I on? Yes, I will assume I am on, or someone is going to say something to me. Next thing I'm going to do is share my screen. I just wanted to welcome everyone this evening and thank you for coming. And now I will get to, I will feel quite at home when I have my images up. Okay. All right. We had billed this evening as a master class of sorts. So I was going to arrange it into 3 general areas, the areas being inspiration, technique, and love. I think these are 3 really core values that I like to see in the work, in the process of making the work, and collaborating within communities. Let me see. I am stuck with my slide is not moving. Hold on, guys. Sorry about this. Okay, now let's try it. All right. So we will begin with Water Tower, Water Tail. And this was at the SEGA Girls School, as Polly has already introduced. This was one of the most wonderful experiences I have had creating artwork. And what resonated with me here so much was the girls at the school, the work that was being done at the school, and the mutuality of benefit that I got working with this new constituency that I had never worked with before. I was working with these teenage high school girls and who had had no prior visual art experience. And we made together a design from their drawings on the theme of water tower, water tails. They were explaining to me what they think of when they hear about water. And then we began drawing. So I am going to explain to you throughout the slideshow how some of my prior work has influenced this SEGA mural. So you can, I think it'll give you a key into the process of making the work. And we're going to see how the love, the technique, and the inspiration from prior projects funneled into our water tower. We had a lot of fun. You can see me there painting with the girls. So the murals, my studio does, we're going to focus on 3s this evening. The murals, installations, and architecturally integrated works of art. First, we have murals. This is a shot of the landmark mural in Philadelphia, Common Threads, the building before. And this is a shot of it afterward. You can see me at the bottom, very small. To get an idea of scale, you can see the bricks in the main figure's face. You can see this young woman standing, her name was Tamika Jones, standing in front of her portrait. They now call her, 20 years later, the Mona Lisa of Broad Street. So you see here the inspiration of the young women, the inspiration of working with these young women in the neighborhood of Broad and Spring Garden. Their hairdos reminded me of European figurines from the distant past. So we took figurines. I took figurines from my grandmother's, inspired by my grandmother's curio cabinet, and placed them next to some of these figures, to some of these actual students. And therefore you had the juxtaposition of the figurines and the figures, and perhaps the title common threads we all have more in common than one would think. So now we are going to do, it is just really hard for me, a true collaborator, to sit here and talk at a screen. You might know, so, and it's actually the first time I've ever done a Zoom present like this, so bear with me, but I insist on engagement and collaboration in all things. So your first question is, we're asking for a response. Meg presented a framed print of Common Thread to Prince Charles, and he was curious if the youth from the surrounding neighborhood helped paint the mural. So we have, we're going to give you a couple minutes to vote. I know there are more people out there. We want everybody voting. If you desire, if not, that's okay as well. And we can see the responses coming in here. And we have 94% are weighing in for true and 6% for false. And the answer actually is false. And you will see, let me see if I can go back up there. Matt, I'm seeing the poll on my screen still. And quite honestly, Matt, you're wrecking the view of me giving the Common Threads piece to Prince Charles, but let's see if I go to the next frame if it comes off. I did, in fact, give a print of Broad and Spring Garden to Prince Charles, but what he said to me was the same thing he said to everybody else that I heard him speak with, which was, thank you for coming out on a Sunday. I know you don't work on a Sunday. So I suspect that he had been primed to say that to people. I'm not sure he noticed the print I gave him, but in my dreams, he did appreciate it, and it is hanging in Buckingham Palace. Yeah. Okay.
So you're still seeing the poll. You should be able to exit out in the top corner of the poll.
Okay. All right. Yes, I see that. Thank you. I'm not getting my cursor to, but you know, I think I'm going to be okay here. Now another mural. This is Philadelphia Muses in Center City, Philadelphia. The thing you should know about the work that I create, which was the same for SEGA, the inspiration comes from the site and the community where the mural exists. I'm not sitting in my studio making up stories in my head about what I should paint on this wall. As an example, everything in this mural is from Philadelphia. The artists are real live Philadelphia artists. The sculptures are from Philly. You can get a close-up of some of the painting in that picture. This is a mural on the Avenue of the Arts in Philadelphia. It contains sculpture and paint. And we're at another poll. Does everybody have their new poll? Meg met Mother Divine in Father Divine's crypt to get the Theater of Life's design approved. They put the design on Father's casket and waited to see if the sun would shine on it. The sun came out and the design was approved. So this one seems to be a closer. as a little backstory, the Divines actually, and their church did own the building. So I had to, it is absolutely true that Mother Divine and Father Divine owned the building, and I had to get their permission. And this whole thing is true. It was the craziest, wackiest design presentation I have ever done. But there's Mother Divine made a beautiful crypt for the casket that has windows and special locations. And depending on what day it is, it's almost like a little Stonehenge crypt. Depending on what time of day of it, the light shines in a certain direction. And we were lucky enough to get the light on the design. So that is a true story. You can see here close-ups of the sculptural element and the mosaics. There were over, as an example, 10,000 pieces of glass in this project. So we're going back now. You saw some of the murals and the inspiration that comes. I'm a caller. I like to collect from the site. And we're back to Water Tower and the water tail and the inspiration for it. This is a drawing that some of the girls did. And we collected these drawings. In response, we played sort of a game. It was hard to get them actually to draw, but we played something of an exquisite corpse type game where they were drawing different parts of their friends' figures. So we got a lot of figures within our workshops. And this was also a very difficult project because I was not there before I actually came to paint. This thing terrified me, but I thought it was really, look at the feet and the drawing this. And I thought it was quite a powerful drawing. This is called Chicken Girl, and I am actually making my own Chicken Girl right now. I am painting a Chicken Girl inspired by this SEGA drawing. And you can see how this drawing ended up down at the bottom into the water tower itself. So it was actually, these drawings were more than an inspiration. They actually became the work of art. And that is so much fun because again, as I'm a professional artist and sure have a lot of skill and technique, but some of the things that these young ladies came up with were just so imaginative, off the charts. Okay, here is a water tower, water tail, true or false. Meg believes in local materials and advice when selecting paint and supplies to use on a mural project. Meg and Polly contacted the Mural paint store. They supplied the paint. True or false? Ooh, we got a 50-50. This means this must be a good one. So if we're going to hit about 50-50 here, you know, I don't have to, good. I might not have to wait till everybody's completely finished, correct? Okay, attendees are now viewing poll results. And the answer here is false. Now, guys, were you listening to Polly in the beginning where she explained how I coordinated bringing the materials from across the ocean to the water tower? I needed to find for this project the absolutely best paint possible because I knew that the Morogoro Tanzanian sun was going to fade the paint very, very quickly. So this answer was actually false. Love that picture. And the way we did get the paint to the water tower was we snuck it into the suitcases of students from the US that were visiting SEGA about a month before So they brought in there, we put it in their suitcases and it cleared customs. Most of them cleared customs, most of them didn't blow up. And we had some of the best paint man could manufacture. We're going to talk about that specific paint a little later in the presentation for the water tower. And I am told that it is still bright and shiny today. So this mural I wanted to show as an example of, it's a two-sided mural. So you're driving down 95 or Columbus Boulevard and you see it from, you see one mural going down one side and you see another mural coming in the other direction, and they are two sides of the same image. So on the back of the image, you have the back of a stage, and on the front of the image, you have the front of a shadow puppet performance. This was done in combination with the Children's Crisis Treatment Center. So this marks their building. I think it provides some color. And this is the front of the project, the front of the stage. In here is represented elements of safety and support for the kids. It's quite a metaphorical design. And on the back, you see the community of the Children's Crisis Treatment Center, multiple generations working together to put on the production of this metaphorical stage. Now we are going to switch to another aspect, or what would I say, another way of working for the studio, which is installations. These are more ephemeral. They're more time sensitive. They sometimes quite often rely on events. This was the Knotted Grotto. The studio and I had the honor of gaining a commission from Sister Miriam Project Home when the Pope visited Philadelphia in 2015, and we collected 150,000 submissions of prayers and struggles from people throughout the globe, actually. This was it on the day that the Pope visited. This was it in the evening. We had 20,000 people a day end up coming. This really took off and had a life of its own. And this life attracted the attention of the Pope and brought him to bless the $150,000, wow, that was a slip, 150,000 prayers that were there. This is another installation that was done in 2016 at both the Democratic National Convention and the Republican National Convention. And we took these large pinball machines and had people vote for their favorite cause. The good life. They were voting for the good life. So the UN had done a poll of what actually makes a good life from all countries around the world. So we took these responses, such as an example, honest and responsive government was one of the causes, education, healthcare, and we had a poll designed for each cause, and people could put a ball in for what they wanted, what they felt was a very important, what they felt was a very important cause. And the interesting thing was, at both the Democratic and the Republican convention, the results came out within 1% of each other. They were almost exactly the same of what was important to people. And right at the very top were honest and fair government and economy, with education close behind. I have to say arts and culture was kind of low. I was a little disappointed, but I get it at the same time. Here's another view This was another installation at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts. People drew their life in a line. They drew their lifeline. So we had all sorts of responses. I believe I actually had the Nurturing Mind folks participate in this installation at one of their planning meetings. Now we are going to move to architecturally integrated work. And you're going to get a general feel for the work. We have touched on the inspiration for the work. And we are going to go to next the technique and the love part of the work that I feel is so important when we're making. This is a theater in New Mexico. It's multimedia. We have lights that descend at the beginning of the show and rise up. It's called Magic Hour. We did arroyos in the hallway and integrated with the architect. This I wanted to show you because these are what all those white ribbons that you saw in the Knotted Grotto ended up to in the Knotted Shelter. It's a home for formerly homeless residents, and it's on North Broad Street. And I liked this inspiration and this also love because the struggles of 150,000 people became the shelter for those who needed it. So we rolled the white ribbons, dyed them, and then installed them in the walls of this shelter. This is the John Bon Jovi Soul Homes. I am showing this one because this corner has quite a bit of my favorite Kanga cloth from Tanzania. The inspiration of Tanzania came to Philly and worked its way into this design. It was in 2014, shortly after my trip. I think you can really, or possibly, let's say, see the inspiration that came from that project. It lights up at night as a sort of a beacon. This is also a building that is dedicated to residents that were formerly homeless. It was sponsored. There are different aspects of it. These were stained glass windows that we made. The inspiration for this was similar to that of SEGA in that these are the 3 flowers. One of the residents noticed that there were a lot of flowers growing through the cracks on the cement where the building now was. She brought me this drawing of these 3 flowers and she said, we, the residents, are like these flowers. We grow up through the cracks and survive. And I thought that was just, it really moved me, the drawing. So that drawing became these large glass windows. This is a lobby where there was a fountain that we made, and the fountain has the theme here is the bowl. You see the 2 bowls in the fountain, and it works its way into the stained glass and the glass on the floor. If there's a hole in the bowl, doesn't hold water, doesn't function. That's the same with our community. And the community of the sponsor of this project home, none of us are home until all of us are home. Okay, so we're back to our true and false questions. Is that just to make sure nobody is sleeping? Is it weird that I'm calling out me and I'm me? Maybe I shouldn't be talking. So let's say I met John Bon Jovi when making work for the John Bon Jovi Soul Homes. He loved the work, especially the stained glass fountain. He shared that we had captured the soul of the building's community. True or false? Okay, now, attendees are still viewing questions I have. Okay, now this you're now viewing poll results, and this is sort of a tricky question because yes, I did sort of meet Bon Jovi, and it was more like I was a stalker in the same room with him for a few times. And this was as close as I could get, and I was trying to take a selfie, but didn't want to be obvious. But we were together for the day. We did share a meal together. I did not actually hear any comments about the work, but I think a lot of that was due to my fear of being a stalker. So the answer to that is false. But JBJ is a really cool guy and supports some really interesting stuff. Okay, now this is one of my largest projects. It is Once in the Millennium Moon. It was done on the AT&T Communications Center of the Southwest, and it is in Shreveport, Louisiana. We are going to begin to merge or travel into techniques. How is this made? This huge mural. You're going to see a little bit about this, and as we move ahead. This is the image. It was done for the millennium. Again, all of these people are from Shreveport. You'll see in here the first baby that was born in the year 2000. The oldest woman in the left, what she was, I forget what tribe she was from. She was a Native American, 96 years old. That's what she looked like at 96, the woman in the turquoise. And I asked her how she got to 96, and she said she didn't she didn't drink, and there was one other thing, I forget. And I was sort of knocked out, so maybe I stopped paying attention after I got the answer. But all of these people are included. Everything you see, the objects in the mural are from Shreveport, Louisiana. And the objects and some of the other things you see in the image, let me just go back there as Matt gets up the poll. You will see that we collected things from the city, and we asked people to bring in, what is the object, if you could have one object in your home remain in existence and preserved to the year 3000, what would it be? And you see there, we received photographs, we received objects from life cycle events, we received a cup that was the only remaining object of when a home blew up. Okay, so Once in a Millennium Moon was the largest mural in the country at the time. It was painted, and it is the largest mural that Meg has ever painted. Okay. Oh, no, now we're getting, oh, the falses are rallying. Thank you guys for answering the poll questions. I do like the engagement. It's makes me feel like I'm talking to someone. And just so you know too, I think Matt said it, but certainly all questions are welcomed. We're going to save it at the end because I think it's going to be hard as we do the thing, but we will definitely get to questions. Okay, so 61% said true and 39% said false. And false is correct. We thought at the time it was the largest mural in the country, and then I have had irate muralists contact me. There was a mural in Hawaii that was supposed to be bigger. Wayland was supposed to have a bigger one. And it is not the largest mural that I have done. I have done two larger in both Omaha, Nebraska and Chattanooga, Tennessee. So that second part is false. And the first part, and I guess one of the reasons why I'm telling you this is the largest, the biggest, at some point, who cares? We could safely say that Meg specializes in supersize painting. That is talking about love. There's nothing I love more than having a few gallons of paint and being up in a big, bright sky, on a swing stage, on a scaffolding, and just painting. That is a huge love in my life. And you'll see that a lot, whether it's an installation or glass, whether it's ribbons, you'll see that it's approached as a painter, the beauty, the layers of a painter's mind, I guess you would say. But speaking of big, this is a 70-foot swing stage with us on it. So you get an idea of how large this mural actually was. And just so that you don't think I am on the techniques and process, when people ask me, how do you paint something and get it to look good so large? This is one of the answers. We do a lot of walking across the street, looking at what we did and thinking, like, does that look right? Does that need to be a little darker? Does that need to be? So there is a lot of planning, but there is also just, wrestling with that paint on site. Okay, true or false, guys? About Once in a Millennium Moon. AT&T moved their signage to accommodate the Once in a Millennium Moon mural design. Okay, we have 78% say true and 22% say false, and true is correct, as you will see in the next image. I couldn't believe it either, but AT&T had the mural sides faced the highway, and they agreed to move their sign off the wall where this girl was, because it looked like she was holding the AT&T sign in the design, and I was horrified, but wanted it to look this way. She represents the future, looking into the millennium, and we didn't. So AT&T, believe it or not, approved and facilitated and paid for moving that sign. So that was super nice. You can see some of the. Here, you can see that this part of the mural was done with our cloth and the paint by number system, where you saw in a prior slide us painting in the studio, the Children's Crisis Treatment Center mural. This is a technique that was developed by Kent Twitchell, a mural artist from California. He painted on parachute cloth. We have now moved to non-woven media. And I'm proud to say that in this portion was painted on cloth. About 30% of this mural was. We never would have had the time to do the whole thing. And this is the mural that discovered the community paint days, doing the community actually using this paint by number system. And you would pass it out, and Shreveport was perfect for this because everything was a festival. So we could pass out portions of the mural and have the citizens paint it. And the reason why I discovered and tried this was to get the commission. The city of Shreveport said you have to have 2,000 Shreveport citizens painting the mural with you. And that is something that I come to these projects with, communities are going to give me things that will need to be factored into the design. I'm not compromising. I'm not looking at it like that. I'm looking at these variables that come from the site. How are they going to make the work better? How are they going to be an opportunity from the work? So the necessity of having to incorporate 2,000 people working with you made me develop a usable paint by number system. And it's now industry standard. You see it all over the place. But when I did this, I honestly, it was a risk because I didn't know it was going to look good when we put it up. Okay, another technique slide we're going to go to here is the American flag. And Polly has asked me several times, how does this paint not fade in the sun? And this was a technique discovery of Sherwin-Williams, because this flag was painted after 9/11. It was only supposed to be up for 6 weeks. And I contacted Sherwin-Williams to donate paint. And after 9/11, everybody was working together and doing anything they could for the cause. So the CEO of Sherwin-Williams said, I want her to have the best paint possible for our American flag. So he sent their paint, which was sheer acrylic, and it was some of the strongest stuff I had ever seen. And sure enough, that flag is looking pretty good in 2020. It was supposed to be up for 6 weeks, but no one will let it. Well, I'm sure some people would, but the general public opinion will not let this be touched. I even offered to paint over it because it's such a beautiful building. All I want to do is paint it, and no one would have any part of that. But so this great paint is what we stuck in the suitcases that went to Mural. And also, if any artists are listening, sheer acrylic now is still called sheer acrylic, but it is not the same paint. So they made a special system in this is very technical, but I have to qualify here. They made a special system, and we are in our technique session, of envirotoner to make the paint, but it was such a high grade and expensive paint, they didn't sell enough of it to keep in their stores machines for a whole other mixing process. So it didn't end up ultimately working for them. So now sheer acrylic is not quite as strong as it used to be, which I also found out by accident, which wasn't so good. It had me prematurely restoring a mural, actually. Oh no, now in techniques, I'm getting to all well, it's either grisly or entertaining or both. So I will sort of be your instead of your Netflix horror fix, we're going to go to this new polling question. The swing stage collapsed during the painting of Our Flag Unfurled. The mural team was hanging 90 feet in the air and were rescued by fire trucks. Well, it's really quite exciting to see the little lines going up and down. This is going to be about a half and half response, right? Attendees are now viewing questions, and you are looking at the poll results. It's 58% to 42%, and the answer is true. It was not a good day at work, and thank goodness we all lived to tell about this. And it probably is, this is the first time I've ever shown that picture 20 years later. But yeah, we had an issue at the site on this mural. Okay. Oh, now it looks like we have two poll questions in a row. This is I guess this is your exciting poll question. So this will be your exciting binge of the night. 5 members of the Philadelphia Eagles came to Meg's studio for an NFL Today video shoot at the Mural bird feed. Attendees are now viewing results, and 71% too said true. And the answer is actually false, because I'm being a tricky person. And it was pretty much just as good. We had Kyle Huntley and Fletcher Cox came to the Mural bird feed. Okay, which takes me, believe it or not, this 5-foot mural that was centered around football is, to me, an example of love entering into the mix of the designing and the painting. We were working on a commission round about this almost exactly this day in 2018. It was 3 days before the Super Bowl. I have been a lifelong Eagles fan. Our studio loves the Eagles. A lot of the artists were into it. I truly have love for this team and the fun that it brings. And I looked at us, and I looked at, we were all sitting there. I said, I always said if the Eagles got in the Super Bowl, we would paint a big Eagles mural on this studio wall. And we haven't done it. Let's stop our work. We thought we were stopping our work, and let's go out. Let's order some pizza, go out there, paint. And then you have the idea like, oh, what should the Eagle be holding? Should it be holding the Lombardi Trophy or football? Like, no, Tom Brady. Of course, we love painting figures. So that came into it. And we painted this little 5-foot painting that went absolutely viral, had millions of hits, got the studio. Got so much work for the studio that year. We ended up painting the official Eagles Super Bowl mural. I have done the Eagles holiday poster, Dallas game day poster. So it was not, I just love this example because we did it out of love and passion for something and thought we were abandoning what we should be doing. And it brought us more than we had ever imagined. And I could say the same for Water Tower, Water Tail. Was that the largest mural ever painted on the continent of Africa? No, but it brought the love of the girls. And what that brought me, we actually had the privilege of having one of the girls, Nusura Gandhi, come and stay with us for 6 months after I painted the mural. And the love that she brought our family and what we exchanged at SEGA, I will never forget. So I think there's a how-to, there's a persistence. There's a lot of things that physically go into making these murals that are exhausting, but I also think it's very important to remember our love, beauty, and inspiration along the way, because they're what is going to make everything that you create sing. Oh yeah, and this one I loved. NBC Sports quoted the Mona Lisa, the Sistine Chapel, this mural in Philly. Okay. So can we go back to me, guys? And we can open up for some questions. I also want to say if there happen to be any artists that are on and you have specific technique questions, we will take technique questions last, and I will stay on after if there is anybody out there who wants to have any specific how-to answered. And I welcome absolutely any and every question that you may or may not have.
Thank you so much, Meg. That was really great to see all the work that you've done. Our first question is from Ted, and he asks, how long does it take to, or how long does a typical mural take to paint?
I have a question for Ted. Is that Ted, the gritty lover?
It seems to be, because one of his other comments says gritty ?
Okay, yeah, so not to get too heavy on the sports at the end of this lovely discussion, but how long does it take to paint a mural? That's a great question. The larger murals that you see, like Once in a Millennium Moon, it was a 2-year process with 9 months on site actually painting it, and there was a team of 8. Bird Feed took us 2 days. And it was this part of the image and a whole other part of the studio, but it was a much smaller. So they can range you know, if I were saying the smaller projects could be 3 months, and the longest project I've ever done was 2 years in Omaha, Nebraska.
Excellent. So our next question comes from Friar Alejandro, who asks,
Friar Alejandro from Australia.
Yes, how do you pick who to include and exclude in a mural? How do you get the models?
That's a really good question. You know who else asked me that question? Brian Gumbel on Good Morning America, or whatever show it was a CBS morning show. And I don't know why, but he said it with an edge, like it was almost, it seemed almost threatening, and I fumbled it. So let's hope I don't fumble it now, Friar Alejandro. Hi, Al. It is completely random, intentionally so. I try to put myself in the community. I try to not connect. Sometimes I connect through an organization, and sometimes I connect through hanging out on the streets. And I tell everybody when I photograph them or sketch them that whether they may not end up in the final image, and it is based solely on what direction are they facing, where is the light hitting them. When we do a project, the art is like, I think of it as the art is the higher power. So the beauty of the image, the design, the composition, and the integrity of the content is the higher power. So that is what chooses the people, and we make sure the process is random.
Excellent. So our next question comes from Julie, who is wondering, what led you to do huge murals, and what inspires you?
It's interesting. What led me to do huge murals was, I'm going to be very specific about this. I lived in Philadelphia on a houseboat that I happened to be living on for free because my uncle had it. And in Philadelphia was the Anti-Graffiti Network at the time. And I had 3 full-time jobs, hated them and quit them, and decided I was going to be a waitress and do my paintings. And so I contacted the Anti-Graffiti Network because I thought, hey, all my paintings are really large. I love painting big. I love being outside, and I love talking to people. So what could be wrong with that? So I contacted Jane Golden for about 2 years, and then she had a need for a muralist. And on my first day, I knew that was what I was meant to do. That was I'm very lucky that way. I think sometimes people have an easier or harder time of finding that passion, but I always knew I loved paint, but that combination of the outdoors and being in the community and having, being able to talk to people and get their reactions and work with people, I just knew that's what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And I still want to do it.
Great. So our next question comes from Caitlin, and she's wondering, how important do you feel community involvement is to the success of murals?
That's interesting. I feel community involvement is absolutely vital and critical to the success of murals as a collective whole, right? I do think that not every project has to have a high level of community participation. I would like the artist and that higher power of the work that they are creating, again, to be the overriding factor in the decision of the making of the work and what work actually gets out in the public realm. That's so complicated. I could go on forever about this. For me, my preference is I want to involve the community at absolutely every level in as many ways that I can. And the more I discover the talents within a community, or what people do well. And if I can use them within the work, the more I love the work that I'm making. Someone else may I'm trying to think of an example. There might be another studio artist who has an idea for a specific corner, and they want it just to be on that corner, and they have valid reasons because of the content of the work. I think that is also acceptable. But I think ultimately the community will, I think the community should decide if it is a successful piece of work or not. As an example, Broad and Spring Garden, currently the community made a stand. There's a skyscraper that was going to go in front of it and cover it. Skyscraper, this is a 31-story building, hundreds of millions of dollars of development, and they effectively stopped it. And the developer cut the back triangle of the skyscraper off to leave a viewing distance for Broad and Spring Garden. That all happened without me, or I think Mural Arts was involved in a little, but without me really even knowing. So some murals have their own life, and there are other murals where I've said, yeah, paint over them. And I'm talking about my own murals, just like they were great, been great. It's fine. It's up to the community.
Awesome. So our next question is from D. Mazzulo, who's wondering, is there something that you put in every mural, maybe a color, an image, word, or design?
I do put in, is it every or most? It's close to every mural, my husband's first name, Peter, because I have a very fortunate woman to have 4 fabulous children and a wonderful home and life. And without my husband, Peter, I would not be able to make this work and keep my family as, I guess, happy, or at who we are. So without him, this stuff doesn't happen. So that's sort of my nod. And, it's kind of like the Nina thing in the New York Times. So it's not a tradition that hasn't been done in artwork.
Great. So our next question comes from Nora, who's wondering, how do you get the sketches so big without mixing up the proportions?
That's a good question. It's all a matter of a grid. So I first would draw the design small, and I really do draw it in a lot of detail. So, because there are a lot of surprises that happen in the field. So you really want to be battened down. You don't want to be, I don't anyway, somebody else may. And again, I love that. It's for me. If you ever hear anybody talking and they say, all murals should, be aware, be suspect. It's I think it's important to say what each artist does in their own practice, and I like it very well designed to begin with. I start with a small sketch. I put a grid over it in a computer, and the grid typically would be 1 inch to 1 foot. If on the larger murals, there's no way a computer would hold an image that large. So it could be like a 1/16 of 1 inch to 1 foot. And, but I do like to work with each square as 1 foot. And then the only thing you need to know when you're up there is what you're painting in each square, which is a little simplified, but that's your gauge. It's a classic grid system.
Great. So our next question comes from Ginny, who's wondering, besides your obvious natural ability, did you have any formal training?
Yes, I had training at the Parsons School of Design and Washington University in St. Louis for 1 degree, and I was trained as a painter. Always loved painting. And I had yes, I have natural ability, but I was lucky in my career and being a student. I had a teacher at Washington University who taught me how to draw. He unlocked some techniques and some ways of seeing that I hadn't had before, and that like amped up my game 20-fold. So I think the passion and the creative vision maybe is what you start with, and sometimes what is seen as talent at the end could be that hard work and learning from others.
Great. So this next question has been asked by a couple of people. They are wondering, when you say you paint by numbers on cloth, how do you transfer that cloth to the walls?
That's a really good question. You project, first of all, I'll just quickly go through. You project onto the cloth. So you have the design, you put the grid on it. Then you take 5 squares, which is the size of a piece of cloth, and you break it down into values. It's sort of like a map. Then you number the map. Then you project the map onto the cloth. Then you put numbers on it. I mix the colors to match the numbers, which is the trick, actually. And then the cloth gets painted, and it is adhered. Everybody thinks there's this big secret and it's a big, long technique and it's going to take forever to learn. It is easy peasy. It is easier than putting up wallpaper. It is an all acrylic process. You take acrylic gel, which is basically your paint without the pigment in it. The gel acts as the glue. But it's all acrylic, so there's no special material. You roll your acrylic gel onto the back of it, you stick it up in the building in the right square, and then you squeegee it out. And it really is that easy. Was that understandable?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. And if you have any specific questions, you can ask too again, and I can follow up with it.
Great. So another question from Ted. He's wondering, who helps you paint these murals in Philadelphia?
Who helps me paint these murals in Philadelphia? Pretty much anybody I can find. No, it's not a glamorous job, actually, when you can get to do it. I am super lucky. I have a core group of probably 5 artists that I have worked with for almost 20 years. They are artists in their own right and do their own work. And if they are available for a commission, they could help me with it. They are all from Philly. I would try, depending on the location of the mural, to get artists that are actually from that neighborhood, because I think in the city of Philadelphia, that's really important, because it is a city of neighborhoods, and you gain something. I love leaving the technique at the site, and you gain something by having someone from the site. I also use a lot. We have interns. There are paid interns who are in the college and graduate levels, and we take high school students through internships. Last summer, we were very lucky to have Bloomberg internship sponsor 4 interns from Philly to come and work with the studio. So it goes from interns to emerging artists to sort of a mural core team.
Great. So we have time for about 2 more questions. So this another question from Fryer, who is wondering what the best part of making murals is. Is it the design in the beginning, the photographing and selecting of the models, the actual painting, or is it just seeing the work completed?
It is, for me, the actual painting and the interaction with the people, and the way that moves and alters your life. The transformation comes from the interaction with the community and the people. And if I have to, the jonesing, the vice, I have to do this, comes from being up there painting. So I guess I can't pick one over the other. But it's not, I have to tell you, it's not the drawing the design or the getting it approved. It's definitely not the budget or the timeline. And seeing it done is truly rewarding, but perhaps less transformative in the end.
Great. So our next question comes from Sultan. He's wondering, when are you going to write a book on your techniques, and can I get a signed copy?
Is that my Salty? If it's Sultan, my dear, who I call Salty, yes, of course he'll get a signed book, for the love of gosh. But yeah, I've always, of course, been interested in some sort of book or putting the work down. And I do truly love, as I've said before, passing on the techniques. I have this theory, it's not, these aren't secrets. And the good thing about being an artist is it's not really competitive, because it's so unique to the person. Like, I've got what I've got and someone else has what they have, and it really can't be the same by the nature of the, sort of process of creation. So sharing techniques and leaving people with things that I've learned and people who have generously given them to me is a real jazz. So I would like to do it. And I guess I'm better at making the actual, like, in-person working within the community, teaching and transferring of information happen more regularly.
Great. And so our last question tonight is from Clark Blinn. It's actually a two-parter. So the first one is, do you have any artists from your studio that have gone on to be famous? And the second question is, who are you rooting for in the Super Bowl?
Okay. So, oh wait, which one should I answer? I'll answer the art one first. I'm dying. Hi, Clark. Okay. So for the Super Bowl, well, I'll do the Super Bowl first. I have to, again, it goes against my grain of my soul to root for Tom Brady. So, and a little bit of an Andy Reid, we want Andy to succeed. So we're going to have to go with Kansas City. I'm going to have to go with Kansas City. And have any artists from my studio gone? They have gone on to great success in their own careers. As an example, Cesar Viveros, who walked off a plane from Mexico and walked up to Broad and Spring Garden after it was 4 months started and said, I want to paint mural, and volunteered for 3 months, ended up getting a green card. And for a special talent green card, he's still in the United States and travels all over painting his own projects. So I take great, pride in mentoring in the beginning and then collaborating and being colleagues with Cesar. So a lot of the artists that are in the studio go on to significant careers. And at the same time, public art and our careers are quite difficult. So people find their own way through and their own trajectories.
Oh. Hi. Thank you so much, Meg. This has been just really amazing. It's been so fun to hear all your stories and see all of your paintings. And It's just incredible what you do. So thank you so much for being with us tonight and for answering all these questions and sharing your clear love of painting and your love of SEGA and our girls. You've done so much over the years and we're so appreciative. So thank you.
And I just want to say too, with SEGA, it's like, you know, the love that keeps loving you back. I've benefited way more from supporting and working with Nurturing Minds. So anybody who's listening, who doesn't know you or and wants to know more about you, I just couldn't recommend it and your beautiful organization and school anymore. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And with that, I will remind everybody that if they would like to support Nurturing Minds and SEGA to really help our girls flourish and have a positive future, please consider making a donation. Thank you all so much. We're going to be sending the recording to you, I think, by tomorrow. And we're so appreciative for you joining us and spending this past hour with us. So enjoy your evening, and we hope to see you on the 14th. Thanks so much, Meg.
Yep. Bye, everyone.